Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our virtual event entitled #Lead the Future, Apprenticeships Across the Professional Services. As Amy said, my name's Paul Jager, and I'm Head of Property Agency Programmes and Lead Online Training Specialist for the Professional Qualification Provider MOL. But today, I'm going to be your host for this event. Now, as I'm sure you know, we're here today as part of this year's National Apprenticeship Week, an annual week-long celebration that showcases how apprenticeships have helped employers and people of all ages and backgrounds. Today's event has been organised by leading Northwest apprenticeship provider Total People, whose focus this National Apprenticeship Week is #Lead the Future, an inspirational message for apprentices and employers alike during what has been a very unusual year for all of us. Working together with Manchester City Council, this event will shine a light on our amazing professional business apprentices and look at all you need to know to kickstart your apprenticeship career. We're going to hear firsthand from apprentices and employers who are going to talk us through, firstly, what employers are looking for from an apprentice. Then we'll move on to the top tips on choosing the right apprenticeship for you. And we'll finish by looking at how to get the very best out of your apprenticeship while you're working from home. Now, as we hear from our panelists, please, if you have any questions, do put them into the chat function, which you should be able to see somewhere on your screen, just depending on the device that you're using. And we will come back to your questions at the end of the session. And of course, in keeping with National Apprenticeship Week, can I strongly encourage you to follow the Total People social media channels throughout this week to see all the activity taking place, highlighting our fantastic apprentices and employers. And you can join in the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, either by liking and sharing our posts or tagging Total People into your own conversations. And please remember when you do that to use the #Lead the Future. Now, before we officially start our discussion, please sit back and watch this short video, which will give you a flavour of what Total People is all about. Can I now introduce you to Melanie Nicholson, Managing Director at Total People, who's going to officially open our event and set us on our way. Melanie, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Paul. So good afternoon, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that short film, which would hopefully have given you a good idea of the work that Total People does and our apprenticeship provision. I'm so pleased that we're here today marking National Apprenticeship Week 2021 with our virtual panel, who are all here ready to talk about our amazing apprentices and apprenticeships. I've worked in the apprenticeship and skills sector now for over 25 years, and I'm passionate about the opportunities that these qualifications give to people and the positive impact that they have on both individuals and businesses alike. I have a personal experience of how apprenticeships can help individuals progress their career. I started my career as a dental nurse apprentice, working in Warrington Hospital in the orthodontic and maxillofacial unit. I then went on to teach dental nurse apprentices and progressed my career from there. The rest, as they say, is history. Today's event is a great way to gather together, albeit virtually, and look towards a brighter future. Many young people have faced learning and employment challenges over the past year due to the pandemic. What we now need is a focus on ways to bring both learners and employers together. And one way to do this is certainly through apprenticeships. At Total People, and I'm sure at Manchester City Council as well, we are passionate about helping people to launch, progress, or change their careers through skills and training. That's why this National Apprenticeship Week, we are using our own #Lead the Future. We want our learners to be the next generation of leaders in whatever sector they choose, and our employers to help give our future leaders the opportunities that they need. Today's event will focus on professional business apprenticeships, which is a sector looking for skilled apprentices to help grow business growth. We'll take a look at what roles are available, hear from our apprentice and employer, and listen to the latest apprenticeship information from our Total People experts. I hope that you all enjoy today's event and get some real great hints and tips from our panellists. Thank you, Paul. Back over to you.
Melanie, thank you. Can I now introduce everyone to Hayden Javid, Senior Project Manager for HR and Organisational Development from Manchester City Council. Hayden, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Paul. Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, thank you for inviting me to the event. I'm really pleased to be part of the National Apprenticeship Week. As Paul mentioned, I'm a Senior Project Manager in our HROD department. I'm relatively new to my role, actually, but I have overall responsibility for strengthening employment pathways into our organisation, particularly from within our Black, Asian and ethnic minority communities, to kind of further diversify our workforce, in particular on senior levels. Now, apprenticeships very much play a key role in this. And as an organisation, we're committed in working with our partners in ensuring all learners on apprenticeships not only maximise their learning, but are fully supported in developing and progressing their careers. Now, from the short time I've been in my role, I've seen what a positive impact apprenticeships has had on our learners, and I'm actually looking forward to hearing from some of our apprentices later on in the event. Thanks, Paul.
Hayden, thank you. Can I now introduce you to our panellists for today's discussion? Well, firstly, it's Hayden again, Hayden Javid, who we've just met from Manchester City Council. We also have Elaine Redford, who is Work and Skills Specialist, again from Manchester City Council. Elaine is accompanied by Ivana Kranishka, Higher Level Apprentice Work and Skills Officer, again at Manchester City Council. Ivana is currently on a Level 4 Policy Officer Apprenticeship. And we also have joining our panel, Catherine McGee, who is an apprentice, this time from Rspca. Catherine is currently completing her EPA for a Level 5 Operations Management Apprenticeship. And finally, we have two experts from Total People who are directly involved with professional business apprenticeships. They are Julie Podesta, who is our Customer Experience Manager, and Karen Carruthers, who is Recruitment and Engagement Officer. A very warm welcome to all of you. So now we've met our panel, let's start with today's questions. We're going to hear from each panelist in turn. And as I said earlier, please, if you have any questions, use the chat function, put your questions in there, and we'll return back to them at the end. So let's start with Hayden from Manchester City Council. Hayden, can you guide us? Why does an organisation like Manchester City Council see apprenticeships as such an important way of kickstarting a young person's career?
Thanks, Paul. Well, first of all, we believe that apprenticeships are a great way for anyone to kickstart their career, not just young people. And one of the challenges I've had since coming into my role is to kind of challenge that perception that apprenticeships are not only just for young people, for anyone. Now, apprenticeships provides a clearly defined structure by which someone new to a profession can develop their knowledge, skills and behaviours that are needed to perform well in a role and also progress in their chosen field. Now, many of the new standards deliver valuable professional qualifications, and the assessment process, which is carried out by independent assessment organisations, give us as an employer confidence that professional competence will be achieved.
Now, bearing in mind everything you've just said, can you guide us through some of the apprenticeship roles that are actually available through your organisation? And perhaps also highlight some of the professional business service apprenticeships that actually we might not be aware of.
Yeah, well, there are a wide range of professional roles which we've been able to link apprenticeships to within Manchester City Council. Now, as well as entry-level roles in business administration, customer care and adult social care, we've recruited to higher and degree-level apprenticeships in areas such as information technology, data analysis, public relations, compliance around training standards, project management and accountancy.
Hayden, thank you. Can we now turn to Elaine? Elaine, good afternoon to you.
Hi.
As part of the Council's work and skills team, can you explain what it's been like to deliver apprenticeships over the last 12 months?
Yeah, hi everyone. Just to give a little bit of context really about the Work and Skills team, we're a service who influence and coordinate delivery of employment and skills training across the city to meet the objectives of our Work and Skills strategy. And we've continued to do that over the past 12 months. But we've been fortunate enough to be able to work from home, so we are mainly office based. And so being able to work that way has meant that we've been able to kind of flex the service, continue to work with our partners and be as agile as possible and support our apprentices to be able to carry on doing their apprenticeships. So whilst we've worked from home, we have a number of apprentices within the team who are working on different standards, ranging from business administration to policy officer. Ivana is here to talk about that, and also project management. All of the apprentices work right across the team, either supporting us through our day-to-day core functions or on research and project delivery. So we've been able to carry on really over the past 12 months, although it's been quite challenging because we are office-based. We've been able to support our apprentices to carry on meeting their learning requirements.
Can you also guide us through some of the main aspects you've needed to consider as Ivana's line manager to ensure she's getting the very most out of her apprenticeship?
Yeah, well, as mentioned, because we are working from home, we've been able to give Ivana the right exposure to the right kind of work experience and tasks that she needs to be able to meet her apprenticeship learning plan. So that's been really helpful. The team is quite, well, medium size, I'd say, about 25 of us, but we do work across a number of different areas, from supporting business to working with young people to looking at the equalities issues. So that means that there's a wide variety of work that Ivana can get involved in. Ivana, as you've mentioned, she's completing the higher level policy officer apprenticeship. So it's been really important that we make sure she's working with different members of the team, but also because some of the area of work sits outside of the Work and Skills team, sits within our policy team. Ivana has a mentor from within the policy team who can support her to understand more about policy work. There's an offer for her to be able to work, shadow and attend meetings, so that if there's some things that the Work and Skills team can't provide her with, we work with our colleagues to make sure that she does get exposure to everything that she needs. And alongside that as well, obviously there is work that comes along with the apprenticeship. So as well as Ivana doing her day-to-day work, we make sure she has some time set aside specifically for her to do her apprenticeship work. So she has a regular day, the same day every week, for her to be able to focus on that and not be distracted by the rest of her work areas. So as mentioned, it's just really important that I can support Ivana with the right level of work that she needs, and it's really been a benefit to her because it's not just for her own personal development, which is really, really important, but she's been able to develop things like her communication skills and resilience, and these kind of qualities really benefit the whole team.
Elaine, thank you. And as we mentioned Ivana a couple of times now, Ivana, can we bring you into the conversation? And could you start by guiding us on why you chose your apprenticeship with Manchester City Council and how did you actually apply for it?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. So I joined the Manchester City Council in late 2019 as a business support officer. I previously graduated from university and I was working for the private sector. It didn't feel like the right career path for me. So I wanted to try out the public sector, but I didn't kind of have the right experience behind me to do so. So I thought about exploring an apprenticeship. I didn't actually know that much about them, but I applied for the business support role, which came with a business admin apprenticeship. And I joined the council. And as I started, there was actually an opportunity for me to pick up a different apprenticeship standard, which is the policy officer one. And since I kind of met the qualifications, my team was extremely supportive, and they basically supported me into progressing into that apprenticeship instead, which meant that I was kind of able to adapt my previous experience and my previous kind of qualifications, but you know, be able to shape my career path in a different way.
Thank you. And I'm sure our audience are going to want to know, what have you enjoyed the very most on your apprenticeship? And what skills and experiences do you think you're going to be able to take forward into your career?
Yeah, so I think in terms of this particular apprenticeship, I think it's the learning side and the practical application in terms of my day-to-day work. And I think thanks to doing this apprenticeship, even throughout lockdown, it allowed me to develop some really important skills to be able to progress into a work and skills officer role, which would have been a lot more difficult if I hadn't trained throughout my time on the job. So I was able to progress within the team, kind of develop my project management skills and supporting the team with various projects. Like Elaine said, there's a lot of different work areas that we focus on within the community and strategic, which does relate quite a lot to the policy side. So I do enjoy learning, and I think you do have to enjoy, constantly learning and wanting to improve your knowledge in the area that you work in. And because this is a kind of a coursework based apprenticeship, I have to say, it has been an enjoyable experience and continues to be that way.
And of course, you mentioned lockdown. Can you guide us what it's been like learning and training during a pandemic? And any advice you have for anyone wanting to be an apprentice, either during lockdown or perhaps just working from home?
Yeah, so funnily enough, my apprenticeship started literally at the start of the first national lockdown. So we, my apprenticeship provider switched to remote delivery straight away. So the way the apprenticeship standard is, we had classes once a month. So we did this via Zoom, as a lot of the work that we did had to kind of transfer into the online setting. So it was interesting actually, and in all honesty, it was daunting at the beginning because I was concerned about maybe not being able to kind of get my head around the work. But thankfully, I think one of the kind of advice I would give to other apprentices is to always kind of voice if you have any concerns, because not only the apprenticeship provider but also my team was very supportive. As Elaine said, I kind of set up a day a week to focus on my work. I kind of made sure I have an area at home where I can sit down and focus on my work. I'm kind of into stationery, so I got all my notebooks and everything, and I just took it as a normal, learning environment, and try and make the most of it. And it has been great. Another thing I would suggest is, if it's possible at all, is to communicate with other apprentices on the course, because that's been a huge help in terms of addressing any assignments or coursework and working on them together, and supporting each other through the process.
Ivana, that's excellent advice. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Can I now turn to Catherine? Catherine, good afternoon to you. And can I start with the same question I started with Ivana, which is, why did you choose to do your apprenticeship with Rspca, and how did you apply for it?
Hi Paul and hi everyone, thank you. I came at it a slightly different way to Ivana. I already worked for the Rspca, so I was made redundant about 2 years ago from a previous role in operations management, and despite having about 10 years experience, I had no formal qualifications to back it up. I couldn't afford to go back to university, so when I was looking for a new role, I was really focusing on finding somewhere that would champion staff development and allow me to kind of gain the qualifications to back up the skill set that I already believed that I had. luckily for me, the Board of Trustees that hired me at the RSPCA at Warrington were really, really supportive and really wanted to get the best out of their staff. So they were really up for investing in staff development. Our Chair of Trustees is from a training background, and he suggested looking at an apprenticeship. It isn't something that I'd ever considered before. I'm from a kind of a university, college background, so I was only ever looking at courses through universities, and sort of his encouragement led to me approaching Total People. The team was dead helpful. They helped us secure funding. We're a very small branch of the RSPCA, so we otherwise probably wouldn't have been able to afford the apprenticeships that were on offer. So yeah, we were just really lucky that I've got a really supportive management team behind me, and had a lot of support from Total People in the initial sign up.
And what would you say you've learned during your apprenticeship, and how will you be able to use that to help you in your future career?
I mean, I've learned so much. I'm about probably halfway through at the moment. I've learned a lot of tools that I can apply directly to my role, and seeing the results of those in practice virtually straight away has been excellent. I think for me as well, it's been a big confidence booster. I've always had a bit of imposter syndrome, so knowing that I've worked as a manager but without those qualifications, I've always felt like a bit of a fraud. So I feel like going forward, when the time comes for me to move on to a new challenge, I will have the formal qualification to back up the skill set that I know I've developed through this apprenticeship.
And just one last question, and I've got to ask it. What's the very, very best thing about being an apprentice?
Oh, it's hard to pick just one, to be honest. I think for me, though, the best things are, like I said before, putting that learning into practice and seeing the results kind of in real time. That's been really good for me, but also good for the team that I work with, because they can see the value in it, and it's encouraged a couple of the other team members to get on board with different apprenticeships. I also mentioned I've previously been to university and college and found that was a much more intense experience than doing an apprenticeship. So I much prefer learning in this way, where you can kind of apply that knowledge immediately, and everything feels very well structured and directly relevant to what I'm doing, which has been really, really positive. Also, my learning coach is fantastic. So having that person who is literally dedicated to keeping you on the right track and sort of being a bit of a cheerleader for you and speaking to you and maybe pointing out things where you've succeeded and you've maybe not noticed how much you've learned or how far you've come, I think for me has been very beneficial.
Catherine, thank you so much indeed. Now it's time to bring in our Total People experts. Julie, can we start with you? Can you guide us on the wide variety of professional service apprenticeships that are currently available?
Definitely. Afternoon, Paul. Afternoon, everyone. Just technology at its best, sorry. Yep. I nearly started the conversation on mute. I'm sure that's a common phrase that everyone's used at some point this year. Okay, so at Total People, we currently offer accounts apprenticeships that range from level 2 to 4. We offer business administration apprenticeships. The standard that we currently deliver in business administration is level 3. So we also offer digital qualifications at level 3. So we've got digital marketer qualifications. And then we do a range of customer service qualifications as well. So we offer level 2 and level 3 in that. We do offer HR apprenticeships. So we offer a level 3 HR and level 5 for a consultant partner in HR. And then there is also, which I believe some of our participants today are on, we do the management, the level 5 management qualifications, and we do the team leader and supervisor qualifications. So there's lots of different levels that we offer that offer fantastic opportunities, but also fantastic opportunities for progression within someone's career.
And from a practical point of view, can you guide us on how an apprentice can best manage job interviews remotely, and any tips for someone planning to apply for an apprenticeship during this lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, we're all going through lockdown version 3, aren't we? So, I mean, like throughout this whole situation, some of our employers have carried out face-to-face interviews, you know, and they've followed the COVID safe and the social distancing measures. But in the main, they have been carrying out video call interviews and interviews using technology. So I suppose the message is the preparation for remote interviews is very similar to face-to-face interviews. You know, the thing to remember is that normal interview standards do apply. It's just that applicants and employers have to make a few slight adaptations to do it in a different way. So, for example, the location. For a face-to-face interview, you know, everyone knows you would always plan how to get to that interview. You'd do a trial journey, you'd do a mock run, you'd get parents or friends running you the day before. So for a remote interview, even though you're not traveling anywhere, you still need to plan your location. You need to find a quiet room, no noise, no distractions. You need to make sure you've got good lighting and there's nothing distracting behind you. And you also need to make sure that your sort of family or your housemates and pets don't disturb you. I think, again, the same as a face-to-face interview, preparation is the key for any interview. Again, few adaptations for remote things. I think one of the biggest things is technology. You need to prepare your equipment, familiarise yourself with your equipment, make sure you know how to use it before you start, make sure it's not the first time you've used it, make sure your microphone and speakers are working, and make sure that your internet connection is good. You know, I think one of the big things is, I suppose, arranging that interview is making sure you have the invite or the appointment well in advance. You don't want to be on the last minute trying to sort it out. And then a key thing is practicing before the interview. Get a test call done with friends or family, ask them to practice the interview over the video call, use the system that you're going to be using, and, you know, be aware that sometimes computers and the technology does have a tendency to lag. So I suppose it's interview etiquette in a situation when we're working remotely and doing remote meetings. You have to make sure that you don't talk over the other person. So it's just practicing, listening carefully, speaking slowly, speaking clearly, and the more that you practice, the more confident you will get, and that will come across to an employer. And then I suppose the final key points are for on the day of an interview. It's dress appropriately. It is still an interview at the end of the day. You know, stay focused, log in a little bit early. You definitely don't be late, and remember to make eye contact with the interviewer. Your body language is so important, so sit up straight, act like you would in a face-to-face interview, and ask questions if you don't understand. I think another key point, and it's the same for whether it's a remote or a face-to-face interview, is always remember to have a few questions ready for the interviewer at the end of the interview. Okay.
Julie, that is excellent advice. Thank you so much indeed for sharing. Can we turn now to our second total people expert, Karen? Karen, good afternoon to you. Are there any key skills that employers are looking for right now, and any skills in demand from employers looking towards future business growth?
Hi, Paula. Hi, everyone else. Yes, employers are looking for specific skills in some cases, but this will depend upon the criteria when they're advertising the vacancy, and it'll depend very much upon the role in question and the level of the qualification. Along with skills, employers also ask for personal qualities, which is just as important. And these can be things such as having a keen interest in the role, being a team player, having a commitment to study, and having good communication skills. They're just a few of the things that they take into account. However, we must remember that apprenticeships are opportunities which give people a chance to both gain new skills and enhance their existing skills. Moving on to future growth, yes, employers are definitely looking for digital marketing skills. And I think this has come about mainly due to the COVID pandemic, which has meant that the majority of people are now working remotely in some way. We can all relate to this, both currently and going forward.
Could you also explain what type of routes there are to an apprenticeship, and how do you support people who perhaps are at different levels of learning to take their first step towards gaining their qualification?
Yes, we encourage people to apply for apprenticeships, both through the Total People site and through the National Apprenticeship Service site. They also have the opportunity to register their interest in apprenticeships through the Total People site. And by doing this, they are contacted by a recruitment and engagement officer, such as myself, who can then support them with advice and guidance and discuss current opportunities. There are other routes that we use, and we use these routes to promote apprenticeships, and we take referrals from them. And they would include schools, local authorities, and events such as the one that we're on today. Also, we do have a very good, excellent customer service team who take direct calls, and those calls are redirected into the recruitment and engagement officers, who will then put the support in place for them. And with regards to the different levels of learning, Total People offer a bespoke service, and again, this is through the recruitment and engagement team. And we can provide advice and guidance around current opportunities, CV building, support with applications, and interview support. If a person isn't quite apprenticeship ready, then we have some alternative programs, such as the study program. We also have, which covers employability skills basically and prepares people for the workplace. We also can support them into traineeships. And for those who have special educational needs, we have supported internships.
Karen, thank you. And thank you to all our panelists for your answers. I'm sure we've all learned something new about apprenticeships today. Now, we're going to turn to our questions. And I can see we have a few that we need to answer. So I'll read out each question, and then if you can guide me as to which one of you would like to answer it. So question number one, what does the future of apprenticeships look like? Who would like to answer that?
Hi, Paul, it's Julie. I'd like to take that one if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. I think apprenticeships provide people with an opportunity to earn and learn the skills they need to start an exciting career in such a wide range of industries. Apprentices, you know, they're currently supporting businesses of all sizes up and down the country to future-proof the workforces. You know, they're an integral part of helping the country and the economy to build back up, especially, you know, both during and after this pandemic. So apprenticeships will play a vital part and a vital role in making sure people have the skills and the economy needs. So I do feel that the future of apprenticeships, apprenticeships is bright, and I do think that they offer great opportunities.
Thank you. Did anyone else want to add anything before we move on to the next question? Nope, let's move on to question number two then. If one of our viewers is thinking of doing an apprenticeship in any of the professional business services, what can they expect and what should they do? Who would like to answer that?
Can I go for that as well, Paul?
Absolutely,
Sorry.
of course.
Okay, I think undertaking a professional services apprenticeship usually involves working in an office environment. Obviously, the apprenticeship will involve working through knowledge and skills, which some of our presenters today, you know, they've talked about that. And it's the knowledge and skills linked to the job role. So as an apprentice, they'll all be employed. They'll all be given the opportunity to learn. You know, they're given 20% of their working week as time to learn. And the learning happens in so many different ways. It depends on the career path that they choose. So some delivery is in the classroom, as we know that's now very much done remotely over Teams or Zoom. Some learning takes place via shadowing and mentoring in the workplace. But all apprentices who are undertaking a professional business apprenticeship, they're given the time to learn. And then they're given the rest of the week, the time that they're not in learning, they're given the opportunity to put their learning into practice. I can only, you know, echo and agree completely with what Catherine said before. It's learning those skills and then putting them into practice in the workplace and seeing how they benefit you and employees, other employees and colleagues. I think with the part of what they should do, again, to mirror Karen's comment, I would ask anyone who's on the webinar today who's interested in applying for an apprenticeship to get in touch. Register your interest on our website. We'll link anyone who does apply that way with one of our recruitment and engagement officers like Karen. They'll support them on that journey towards gaining an apprenticeship. So they'll be able to give them CV support, as Karen said, application support, interview support. They can help them, they can give some information, advice and guidance if they're unsure what their chosen career path is yet. You know, they're all experienced members of staff who can do that. So get in touch and we will help you on that journey.
Well, that leads very nicely into our next question. which is, I want to do a traineeship in hairdressing. How do I get a traineeship? Who would like to offer guidance?
Okay. Would you like me to answer that one as well?
Absolutely, go for it.
Right. Again, please, I can't see any names on the chat, unfortunately, but please do get in touch with us. We do offer a full range of vocational traineeships, and they are excellent preparation for getting into your chosen career. What we then do with the traineeships, we will give people the opportunity at the end of a traineeship to interview with some of our existing employers who we currently link with, and we'll work with you to try and identify new employers as well, to hopefully progress your journey from that traineeship into an apprenticeship. So please register your details, and one of us will be in touch to help you.
I have a feeling our next question may involve you as well, and it's this. Are there a lot of opportunities at the moment?
Okay. It is quite quiet at the moment, but employers are still in touch with us. We're currently handling a caseload of vacancies for employers who are planning for the future. You know, the government announcements, I know everyone's keeping up to date with them, when lockdown is going to end, and when we're going to see some opportunity to get back into the workplace, and employers are planning for this. So yes, despite the current situation, we do still have some live vacancies. They are all advertised on our website, on Total People website, and they are all advertised on the National Apprenticeship Service website as well. So yes, the opportunities are still out there, and employers are planning for the future.
Thank you. Next question. How will I know if I'm ready? What happens once I've applied? Who would like to take that? Oh, Julie, is it going to be, is it yourself again? Did I hear another voice raised? Who was that?
I think that was one of our very experienced recruitment officers, Karen. I'll let Karen, if she wants to answer that one.
Thanks, Karen.
So basically, once you've applied for the apprenticeship and the application has come through to Total People, we pass that application over to the employer, who then considers the skills and the knowledge within that application, and then makes a decision as to whether or not they would like to interview that person. This is when I can step in again, because I support that employer throughout the whole process. And at the moment, to reiterate some of the things that Julie's been saying, I am supporting employers to interview people remotely, which has been really, really successful. So once you have you've got through to that selection process and you've been offered an interview, if you're lucky, then you will take part in a Zoom interview at the moment, because that's potentially the only option, and you take part in your interview. If you're successful, then you have a start date for the apprenticeship, and it is at that point that Total People learning coaches become involved, and you are then signed up for the apprenticeship. So it's a really smooth process, and I'd just like to reiterate, despite all the COVID restrictions, it's running really smoothly at the moment.
And actually, I can see we've also got a question that asks, can you take me through the application process?
The process is via it would come through Total People, and then it's redirected onto the government site. So we receive the actual application from the government site, and then, as I say, it's passed through to the employer.
If I can just add into that as well, just to mirror the support that the officers can actually give you. So at that stage, when it's going through from Total People website and to the National Apprenticeship Service website, you know, Karen will get involved at this stage, and she will support the person through that. She can actually help. You know, we can designate time and give one-to-one support to candidates with actually completing that application. If they're used to the system, if they're not, you know, if they're not current, they've never applied for an apprenticeship before, and they feel that they want that little bit of guidance, then we can organise that for them as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, I can't see you asked that question. I hope we've answered it. If not, please do put another question in the chat panel. Next question is, does age matter? Who would like to take that?
No.
No. I mean, for school leavers this time, if we do have any, any people watching the webinar today, anyone can start an apprenticeship after the official school leaving date this year, which is the last Friday in June. So for school leavers this time, that can happen. We have a wide range, a wide age range of apprentices on all of our programmes, ranging from people who have just left school and they're starting their career path to people who have been in roles for 20, 30 years and are looking to upskill or to move sideways into other positions within a company, and just to expand their skills and the knowledge. So no, there isn't an age range. It's 16 plus, and we can support anyone.
Thank you. Next question. Oh my gosh, I can relate to this. Can I get support with interviews live? I'm not very confident. Who would like to take that?
Okay.
I don't mind.
Go on, Karen, I'll let you do that.
Yes, we can give full support with interviews. We go through all the interview tips. We can have practice runs. We just modify it to suit the individual. We can obviously go through CVs as part of that as well. And as we spoke about earlier, when we're going through the actual application, they're all the relevant points that need to be discussed, so that you understand each section of that application, which goes on to help with the interview questions. So we can tailor it to the individual.
Did anybody want to add anything before we move to the next question?
No,
we'll move on. It's actually a technology question, which is, what happens if I don't have a computer at home? How do I complete an online interview? Who wants that?
I'll go for that one as well, Paul, sorry. Yeah, we can use, if they do have access to a phone, we can do that. At this moment in time, obviously we're in lockdown, we don't have any facilities for using any of our centres. When we get to a situation where we are out of centres, we can actually, do face-to-face, and we can do face-to-face interview and support sessions with any applicants. Then we can do that, and we can resource the technology for them to utilise, and we can help them set that up. At this moment in time, it is slightly different, but as long as somebody or a family member has access to a phone, what we would do on their behalf is work with the employer and explain the situation with technology. And we are finding that employers are really, really supportive with all the candidates who are applying and understanding the situation, and they're adapting to that.
Thank you. Now, the next question is written in such a way, I think it's asking our guest from Manchester City Council today to offer some guidance. And it's this: what do you think is the future for Manchester apprenticeships in the next 2 to 3 years? Who would like to take that? So the question is, what do you think is the future for Manchester apprenticeships in the next 2 to 3 years?
I'm not strictly from Manchester, but I know from an Rspca perspective, and we have been having active discussions about any future hiring to really prioritise looking to apprentices to fill any roles. We have had such a positive experience with apprenticeships, both with myself taking on one and another few members of the team, but then recruiting apprentices after that time, that it is part of our hiring strategy going forwards.
Oh, that's really useful to know. Thank you. Anybody else like to add anything? Elaine, I can see your hand up. Hello there.
Yeah, waving. Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think as a city council, I think we are committed to apprenticeships because we see them as really a valuable way for people to not just enter the workforce, but also to upskill, as we've been talking about. And so certainly over the next couple of years, we would still definitely be hoping to encourage people to apply for an apprenticeship and to get that experience of earning while you're learning. And of course, we've got lots of opportunities as well for them to do that of all ages, and that's really something to stress as well, that apprenticeships are not just for young people. We are keen to see people of all age apply and really take advantage of what is a great opportunity.
Elaine, thank you. Would anyone like to add anything else before we move on?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself before.
Don't worry.
I've unmuted now. Just to kind of reiterate what Elaine just said, apprenticeship is very much part of our work going forward, and we've seen how it can support people and benefit people positively. One of the things I'm taking away from this whole week is actually to mainstream apprenticeships throughout the year, not just wait for the apprenticeship week. We have apprenticeships running in the council, but what I found is it's not. I think there's a lot more work for us to be done in terms of promoting it a lot more and the benefits. So that's something we're going to be doing moving forward. But the future for apprenticeships for us is very strong. We encourage new appointments to consider apprenticeships when they're taken on to us. So it's very much as part and parcel of our work going forward. So the future looks quite good for apprenticeships for us.
Hayden, thank you. And a really positive note to end on. That looks to be the end of our questions. And we are now coming to the end of today's event. So can I thank all of our panelists, Hayden, Elaine, Ivana, Catherine, Julie and Karen for attending. Can I also thank all of our attendees for joining us today? I hope you found it interesting. I hope it's helped you understand a little better the benefits of being an apprentice, or perhaps bringing an apprentice on in your own business. Can I hand you back now to Melanie Nicholson to say a few final words? Melanie.
Oh, thank you, Paul. And thank you, everyone. So firstly, I'd just like to thank all of the panelists that have joined us today. We really do appreciate you giving us your time to share your thoughts and explore the key issues for professional business apprentices. I personally really enjoyed listening to the experience of the two apprentices on the panel. That was really good, so thank you. We are delighted that Manchester City Council have partnered with us during National Apprenticeship Week to host today's events. So again, thank you to Hayden, Elaine and Ivana for joining us, and a huge thank you to our apprentice, Catherine, as well. We've heard some really great answers to some really relevant questions today, which is fantastic. So again, thank you for taking part. And I'd now like to invite you all to visit our Total People website and social media channels, where you'll be able to keep up to date with our National Apprenticeship Week activity, and also explore the wide range of apprenticeships available. Again, finally, thank you for taking part and joining us today. I really hope that you found the discussion informative and enlightening, and it's given us the opportunity to think about how our apprentices can lead the future and create a strong workforce for all of our businesses. Thank you, and back to you, Paul.
Melanie, thank you. This concludes our event. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. We hope you're keeping very safe and very well, and please enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you and goodbye.